All the sound effects are like so heightened.
Yeah, because it's a horror movie, Mary.
No.
The Babadook.
Going to wish you were
dead! Passing through like being well lit to being dark, and I think that reflects her mental state.
I thought that they'd been reading it and that's why he was thinking of a monster. It's weird that he was already thinking of a monster before they read it.
Is it a metaphor or not? What? Why does she have superhuman powers now? What was the point? Okay. What? Symbolism would have been stronger if the Babadook was kept as a psychological entity rather than like a physical beast. Like if she was just driven crazy by like grief. Also, I think
And,
the
like,
husband
lack of
should have
sleep
died
and-
more recently. Because he
Yeah.
died 7 years ago. Then it would have been like, oh, the Babadook, it's like represents like human grief and like craziness and instability, like anxiety, like all these things.
There was
revealed.
this weird bleeding between like her assuming it and it being its own entity, which doesn't make sense. And also,
And it
was,
has like
prompted
supernatural
by her-
powers.
Yeah,
But like that wasn't introduced until like.
And like all of that could be explained by her taking prescription medicine,
Yeah.
but they didn't have her do that. They like she
No,
was
and
giving
in the
it to
beginning of the film
son.
where like there was like the glasses in her food and the photographs being marked up, like there was no evidence besides this that like the Babadook was real and was tangible and could move things around. Like it was just creepy.
And if the idea is that she's crazy and it's her, it's like
That
she
she's
wouldn't have
doing it.
broken
Yeah,
glass
I
and
know.
put it in her own soup for her to cut her own
Yeah.
mouth.
Or up to that point, it could have been like.
Like there's ways to
I
have
don't know.
creepy things that happen that could have been like under her control versus like
Yeah, or like there was like so much of the movie was just like psychological buildup and not enough physical actions.
yeah.
That when like they were like, oh, this is a physical thing that you can lock up in your basement, it just didn't add up.
Yeah, because it's introduced as like knocking and stuff at first,
Yeah.
which does make it seem like it's more physical when it's introduced.
But so much of the movie was like her hallucinating.
And I feel like they'd have a lot of crazy sequences and then cut to it being her waking up. So it was like it was explained as if it was just a dream.
Yeah.
But
That
then
was
stuff
the
like
bulk
her
of the
eating
film.
the glass isn't during a dream and makes the least sense.
Mm-hmm.
And then like things like her husband showing up, like
Again. Like
sometimes
in
a
the
dream, but
physical,
sometimes
yeah.
seemed like they were just hallucinations, like during the present
But
day.
yeah, and like most of the film was just her hallucinating, and so the couple of physical actions that happened didn't make any sense. And then all of a sudden you're like, oh, the Babadook can like pull people and throw Sam against the wall and stuff.
Which all would have made like there wasn't a like if we were just seeing like Sam like thrown against a wall, then we could be like, oh, in this movie we assume it's the Babadook, but we understand that she's hallucinating, so it's from her point of view. She's the one throwing him.
Yeah.
But then it's like including her in the shot and him getting thrown around magically. It's just I just think it's stupid.
Or-
and it makes less sense with the logic that they tried.
Yeah,
to-
and because there was so much hallucinogenic stuff, like where she was just seeing clothes hung up and then getting scared.
yeah.
So we understand, oh, it's all in her mind.
Mhm.
But then it just means all the scenes were like the hands and like the shot. That means that was actually the real physical Babadook. But because there were so many moments where she just saw nothing and was getting scared, it was in her mind. Like
yeah.
we just thought when she was seeing like his hands, and when we were seeing the actual Babadook, we thought we were just understanding that she was going crazy.
And if they wanted to make it a real physical being, then why didn't the son ever explicitly acknowledge, like, oh, Mom, I saw it? Or, like the son always seemed vaguely scared and was, like, clinging to her, but it seemed more like he was scared of his mom being crazy, not that he was scared of, because he starts to mention it towards the end, being like, oh, you need to let it out of you. I thought the whole time it was like he had left this nugget of being scared of this thing. And then once she started to lose more and more sleep because he's getting freaked out about it, it's freaking her out. Then she spirals, turns it into this whole thing in her mind that doesn't exist. But then it's like, it's just not consistent.
I'm mad about it.
The other things, I feel like I wish they'd kept consistent where like, if she's going to be the monster, using like a monster voice in and out, but then sometimes having it seem like it's inhabiting her, but she's not the monster. She's using her own like mom voice, which I feel like should have been a clear distinction of when she was the monster and when she was the mom, but they bled in between the two.
Yeah.
And the same with the light dark stuff that we know, where it was like.
That's one thing. I think the monster, up to a point where she was like getting mad at Sam and stuff, like because she was so stressed and anxious and stuff, I was like, this makes sense. But then making it that she was under the influence of a separate entity that was influencing her, stopped making sense.
And also, like, there's one thing, it flips so quickly from, there's one thing of, like, being short with someone and being like, oh, I don't care what you eat, to then, like, the next scene, she wakes up from a dream and is holding a knife over her son, you know? Like, I feel like you have to, like, build up to that. You can't just be like, you eat shit, and then, like, I'm gonna stab my own son.
I think, I don't know how other people interpret this movie, but, like, with me and you, we thought that Babadook wasn't real until, like, the last 20 minutes of the film.
Yeah.
Like, we thought it was just her going crazy, which why it didn't make sense.
But it's like, if it was just supposed to be a physical being the entire time, like, I wish they hadn't tried to allude to her being crazy.
Yeah.
Because then it's like, I don't know, either, like, the police officers or, like, the neighbors or, like, the son or someone.
They
like,
all thought she was crazy.
Yeah. So it's like, don't point towards that narrative if you're not going to use it, unless it's, like, supposed to confuse people on purpose. But I just feel like
I think it was bad directing.
I think you have to keep, like, the rules of, like, this universe, like, consistent throughout the movie.
And they should have been more obvious from the beginning, or after they read the book, that the Babadook is like a real physical thing and can walk around in your house. Because we all, like, I had thought it was in her mind this whole time.
Especially
until the camera.
Because the camera giving it a POV, like,
made it
completely breaks those rules.
Yeah.
And also, like, I'm remembering now the newscast where I think it was a dream, but the newscast where she murders her son, like, that's not a third party killing someone unless it's like, oh, the Babadook killed it, but the police are blaming it on her. But the police report was just like, I think she was, but it's just like, in the report, like, even her own mind is coming up with that she killed it versus the Babadook killing it. It wasn't like the figure in the newscast was like, oh no, I've been framed, like, this monster killed my son. It was like this creepy, like, you killed your son, like,
so she's already thinking that, like, she's already going crazy, like,
it is not consistent. Truly not consistent. Also not scary. Because the whole time I just thought it was just stupid because it started, like, breaking laws of physics and science. Like, that's not scary anymore. That's just, like, bad supernatural fiction. That's like
and then
not
the
realistic
hole
to
in the
me.
wall thing, the bug thing.
Yeah.
That proved that she was hallucinating. That was like the first tangible. Like, she was like all the bad, like, that made me feel like all the bad stuff that was happening in their house and the noises and the lights and everything was her just hallucinating.
Was fake, yeah.
Yeah. Not like a physical thing going around, like, spooking things up.
Yeah. Moral of the story.
Set
up rules and adhere to them. Stay consistent.
Wow, we talked for 9 minutes.
Ow, ow!
Ow, ow.